Hi, I'm Rick Cusick, and I'm on the board of directors of NORML. Next month marks the 50th anniversary of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. When Keith Strop founded NORML in 1970, only 12% of Americans favored the legalization of cannabis. And by the time Keith left in 1979, that percentage had doubled, and 11 states had decriminalized the possession of small amounts of marijuana. Now, when Reagan's war on drugs ramped up in the 1980s, cannabis was in the crosshairs, and NORML's mandate changed necessarily from reforming marijuana laws to hanging on for dear life. NORML's directors like Larry Schott and Kevin Zeese, John Getman and Don Fielder, they kept the NORML ball rolling against all odds while the rest of us were just trying to stay out of jail. Still, the percentage of Americans who favored marijuana legalization, 25%, held firm all throughout the 1980s. And in the 1990s, when the pendulum swung back again with the advent of medical marijuana and Jack Herer's hemp revolution, marijuana regained its footing, and NORML's star rose once again. Now, luckily for NORML, back then, the late Dr. Lester Grinspoon took over as chairman of the board and asked Keith Strop to come back to the fold. So Keith was the executive director in 1995 when the steady percentage of Americans who favored the legalization of marijuana began to climb, approximately 1 point a year for the next 20 years. In 2012, Alan St. Pierre was the director when Gallup finally reported that 50% of Americans favored marijuana law reform. And that gave everyone who was sitting on the fence an excuse to jump over to our side. And so the last 10 years have been very, very productive. And our current director, Eric Altieri, now presides over NORML at a time when 66% of Americans support cannabis legalization and a whopping 94% favor medical marijuana. Now, NORML did not do that alone. There were scores of organizations and literally 1,000 points of light that made that happen. But NORML was one of the first and the brightest stars in that firmament, and we're here today to celebrate a half a century of its intrepid advocacy. When Keith first started NORML 50 years ago, he wanted to call it the National Organization for the Repeal of Marijuana Laws. But his friend and mentor, the former U.S. Attorney General Ramsey Clark, he suggested that he change repeal to reform. He thought that would be more inviting. The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Now 50 years old. Thanks to Keith Strop, and thanks to Lester Grinspoon, and thank you to all those directors who came before us, who held the line or moved it forward. And good luck to you, Eric. You're going to need it, because as you know, the job's not done yet. But it will be, and it will be soon. I believe you will be the director of NORML when this terrible war on marijuana is just a distant memory, and when the miraculous cannabis plant finally comes into its own. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget about hemp. That's the 800-pound gorilla in the room.